Hello and welcome to Men Behind the Curtain, the podcast about everything and nothing all at once. I am Pitt.
I'm Eli. I hope y'all are doing well. And just once again, just an update, welcome to Ohio. Now it is 82 degrees. So I've got a couple of my fans. You can see he's enjoying, being in the garage right now. Um, I don't even know what the fuck to expect from the weather at this point anymore.
Well, I already know what to expect, and that's not being able to breathe with my goddamn allergies.
We are definitely coming up on that part of the year. No, it is a little bit humid today. So I mean, humidity is not necessarily part of your allergies, but the humidity is just fucking rough on everyone. Um, I hate that. Um, I know people enjoy the summer months, the sunlight, all that, which is fine and all. I hate when I can drink the air.
Just as wet as you were after you dried off after a shower.
Pretty much, and yeah, it's funny because that's kind of how that feels like when again, I've mentioned like I have, my home treadmill and everything, which I do actually get a pretty decent workout on that now. Like I'm dripping sweat, like down to like my stomach and everything. So then like I'll shower afterwards, and I don't know what was sweat and what is water because it's just fucking everywhere. But I mean, hey, I'll say this much: it is working because not only not only can I now fit back into my pre-COVID jeans, my pre-COVID jeans are now falling off my ass. Um, I am actually going to need to get a new belt soon, which is actually a really nice. That's a nice position to be in.
I haven't wore a belt since I was in Catholic school.
Uh, I mean, I kind of had to for a while, just especially with my job. Before they let us go casual, they wanted us to wear business casual, which was slacks. And if I wanted to look nice, I had to wear a belt, and it I had to have it. So
Khakis and a polo.
and Well, I also needed a belt most of the time with my jeans because despite the fact that my mom is black, none of that went below the waist, and I don't have enough ass to hold up my jeans. So I don't know how that works
I'll,
out.
I'll I'll let the listening and viewing audience summarize the rest of that in their own minds.
I'm just gonna leave the sentence right there. I said what I said. I'm just gonna leave it at that. um, Real quick before we jump into anything, so I I have a funny that I wanted to go ahead and show. I actually meant to do this a couple of weeks ago. Incoming white people shit. So some of y'all might remember a video that I shared where they called it the ARNR, which was all risk, no reward. Or as I like to call it, white people shit.
Today's episode of white people doing shit that shouldn't be done, but it looks pretty cool.
I don't know why I don't
We
have
have a man
sound on that.
performing the ARNR.
But as
All
you can
risk,
see,
no.
you're on your phone.
Please don't try this at
Oh,
home.
okay.
This is a
It's probably
professional white
it's
person.
probably the sound in here.
On today's
But
episode of white
as
people
y'all can
doing
see,
shit that shouldn't be
this
done,
dude
but
is
it
on a
looks
big
pretty
ass
cool
trampoline
anyway. We have a man
attached to a
performing the
moving
ARNR.
truck.
All risk,
So
no
of
reward.
course you have to wonder what happens if the truck stops. Um, and my favorite part about that video is at the end when he says, "Don't try this at home. This is a professional white person."
There's
Um,
some shit that most white people won't even do.
uh, and you know what? The thing is, what I find hilarious, and I need to go back to making these videos. I used to love when I would make a video and call something white people shit, and then there were there were a couple of different white people that hopped in my comments. My favorite one is I'm white, but I'm not that white. And then you get, well, that's racist. You stupid motherfuckers. um, I should get back to posting rage bait because it's funny.
So I actually have a catastrophe, and this is not sent in by anybody. This is actually from an observation that I have made over the, I don't know, the last, let's see, 40 years or so.
All right.
All right. So why is it when women get out of a car, the seatbelt does not go back to where it's supposed to go and it fucking twists up every goddamn time?
Um, I kind of, I actually had that problem myself. Um, I think maybe because I'm coming out a little bit. So maybe in women's case, maybe it's the boobs, and in my case, maybe it's the stomach. I don't know. I feel like maybe when you pull the seatbelt out, it's just too far and it just doesn't snap back like it's supposed to. Um, but I have seen that. I've seen times where, like, after my wife got out of the car, I see the seatbelt caught in the door and hanging outside of the car, and I'm like, "Did you not notice that?"
I don't. It's just something I've noticed. It's like my daughters, it twists up. My wife, it twists up. My ex-wife, it twisted up. My ex-wife before her, it twisted up. Uh, girlfriends, friends, stuff like that. Every time a fucking woman gets out of the goddamn car, the fucking seatbelt twists up. What the fuck is that about?
Maybe it has something to do with. Well, no, I don't know. I was gonna say maybe it has something to do with the way they climb out of the car, but that doesn't make sense either because it's not like everybody does it the same way. I don't fucking know.
Well,
Um,
the thing is, like, my wife says, well, it's because of our boobs. I've had plenty of women in my car who don't have boobs, and it still twists the fuck up.
yeah, and I mean and honestly, I know an example because like with your ex wife, the one that you were married to when I met you, um, beautiful woman. She's not the most endowed in that space. So like, yeah. So that would be a good example.
Yeah. So if anybody knows, I need to know the fucking answers to this because there's got to be some kind of fucking physics, you know, equation that can be applied to this. So nerds, get on it.
Actually, you know what? I thought of another impromptu catastrophe that we can do, and I might actually be able to put this on our TikTok, and maybe if we create an Instagram. Which, by the way, as a plug, we now actually have an Instagram for the Valmont series, so I will put that in the description. But I wanted to drop that as a plug. But so yeah, so I guess I'm going to edit that. But no, what I said, they teased a sequel. We never got the sequel, but the movie fucking sucks. So you're glad we didn't get the sequel.
Uh just one.
I mean, you can name a couple if you want, but yeah, just one would suffice.
Doom.
Uh, that's the one Carl Urban and Rock did, didn't he?
Yeah, which is unfortunate because Carl Urban is like God.
That actually might be one of very few misses on Carl Urban's resume.
And I would say another one, Carl Urban, even though he dies, but also has Paul Bettany in it, who played Vision in the Marvel franchise. Uh, uh, Priest.
I remember that one. I liked Carl Urban in it. Carl Urban as the villain, Black Hat, I think was what they called him.
Yeah.
Carl Urban was interesting. The movie itself, the promise and potential was like up here, and the execution was like down here. Like it could have been a lot better. Um, so the one that I thought of, and I can actually use this to segue into a story that I found, was Ryan Reynolds, Green Lantern. Because
Yeah.
if you remember the closing scene, we see Sinestro put on the yellow ring, and then he turns into yellow core, Yellow Lantern core. I can't fucking think of it, but he turns into that Sinestro. But God, that movie sucked.
Well, I think it was the CGI suit.
That might have been part of it. But yeah, speaking of that, so we
I
can
mean,
actually use.
minus the fucking hair. Nathan Fillion looked great in just a standard fucking spandex costume. So don't need CGI for everything.
Oh, speaking of hair, I think I saw what you were talking about. So just yesterday, I just finished the last few episodes of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, and you were talking about Christopher Pike's hair. Christopher Pike as a Vulcan. What the absolute fuck was going on with like his
That
hair
took
was
that took like an entire jar of pomade, man.
that was ridiculous.
You, so,
Um,
so the first when I first saw it, I was like, I was waiting for another musical episode, but I was waiting for the musical episode to be written by Kid and Play.
yeah, it did kind of look like that. Um, and it's wild the way that they were humans made into Vulcans, but they had the audacity to shit on Spock for being half Vulcan. And I just found that very interesting.
It's
But
like I'm surprised he was able to get through the fucking corridors with how high his hair was. It was
that,
like so
that
fucking
fuck
high.
that
It's
hair
like
was
fucking it's
absolutely
like fucking Johnny Bravo fucking hairdo going on there.
it did look like Johnny Bravo, actually, now that you mention it. Which, you know, just off topic, I know people have talked about before, like if they wanted, like if they were to ever make a Johnny Bravo adaptation or movie or anything. Um, I actually would like to see that, but I don't think it would fly very well today. Like the way that he just chases and harasses women. Now, every single one of those women knock him on his ass, but the way that he is, it probably wouldn't play well in today's audiences.
I mean, dude, they have 3 seasons of Has Been Hotel. I mean, so why not? And
That
don't get
that
me wrong, I love Has Been Hotel, I really do. But at the same time, it's like, why not?
I actually haven't seen it. Honestly, the main thing that I know about it because it became such a thing was the song was it Psycho with Alistor? Uh
Hmm.
oh god damn it. Oh, okay. Your picture froze and I thought my feed froze, so I was like, God damn it. Anyway, um but yeah, the song Psycho with Alistor. Or
Yeah.
honestly, that is a fucking earworm. Like that is absolutely an earworm.
No,
Um
my favorite happens to be from season 1, episode 4 with Keith David, loser.
I might have to check that out just because it's Keith
You're a
David.
loser, baby. It's fucking phenomenal.
Just because it's Keith David, I may have to check that out.
Yeah.
Like he's a great actor, but he's a phenomenal voice actor. Like just he kills it every time. But getting back because we went way off the beaten track because I mentioned Green Lantern. So, and it's funny you mentioned Nathan Fillion because so they have given a little bit of news about the Lantern series coming to HBO Max, which I don't even know if it's still going to be HBO Max by then, you know, with the Paramount purchase and all that. But so first of all, that is going to start on August 16th, I believe they said it is.
Yeah.
Um, one thing that's a little bit weird with it, so you have Hal, who is like the old seasoned Lantern. He's kind of like at the tail end of his quote unquote career. I say with air quotes because it's not like it's a tax paying job, but he has a Green Lantern suit in his closet on the hanger. And that's stupid because the suit is supposed to be generated by the ring. Why the fuck is it in his closet? That was a weird choice. Um, but
I
Nathan
mean,
Fillion,
it's no stranger than Thor hanging Mjolnir from a coat hook.
which that I feel like that was unintentionally funnier than they meant it to be. But so they are connecting it to the quote wider universe because Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner is going to be in the show. I don't think he's going to be a staple, but he is going to appear.
Well, as busy as Philly it happens to be, I mean, we got the Firefly reboot. He's got the Rookie. And he's got his duties as a Green Lantern, and then he's got a few other projects going on. So it's like it's probably one of the busiest guys in Hollywood right now.
You might be right about that, which I'm actually okay with that, considering at one point the busiest guy in Hollywood was The Rock, which like, do we really have to do this again? Like, and I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna talk about that too much because we've talked about it as much as we have. But he did oversaturate the market really badly for a few years. So Nathan Fillion being one of the more busy guys in Hollywood, I am totally okay with that. Um, are you planning on watching that Lanterns?
Yeah, honestly, I'll probably watch it so we have content for the show. I've never been a big Green Lantern fan. Uh, kind of like I was never an Aquaman fan either until Jason Momoa came around and did his shtick with it. But yeah, I'll watch it for content for the show. But it's the Lantern. It's Lantern Corps. It's not really my thing.
That's fair. I mean, I'm totally cool with the fact that they are bringing in Jon Stewart. Um, of course, there were all these rumors about other things that they were going to do with it. Um, Sorry, a fucking gnat flew right across my face. The camera probably didn't pick it up because he was so small, but it was enough to draw my attention.
Well, wait till it
Um,
flies into your mouth.
yeah, I'm gonna be so pissed off. uh, I think that they made a huge mistake in not making Diggle Green Lantern an Arrow, and they teased it. They even had him open up the box, and you could see the glow and everything. And then he said no, and it like flew off or whatever. Um, I think that he would have been a great Lantern. Um, Certainly better than just his Spartan shtick, which was just him wearing a helmet. That's all he did.
Well, I mean, that's a lot like when on Smallville, or not Smallville, but Supergirl with Jimmy Olsen's character, where you know
Yeah,
it's like, I'm sorry, for me, straight out of the comic books and the movies and stuff like that. Jimmy Olsen's that redheaded stepchild, freckled kid that always got picked on in school, put in lockers and whatnot. That turns around to become like a really awesome photographer, to the point where he's giving Peter Parker a run for his money. But it's one of those things that it's like, I get that you want to do more with the character and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's like I wish they would have remained more true to the Jimmy Olsen of the comics. He's kind of geeky kid and whatnot. I mean, yeah, it kind of goes with the whole Clark Kent Superman thing, where Clark is a big imbecile and Kal El is a god. But it's one of those things that it's like, okay, it got, for me, it got, on Supergirl, it just got completely overplayed. You know, uh,
Um, Personally, I didn't watch Supergirl. So when it debuted, I watched the first episode, maybe the first two. I'm not sure. First of all, the dialogue I thought was just atrocious. It was brutal, um, and I really didn't like the way that they they built her around just being a female version of Clark. Like the opening dialogue says, you know his story, but not mine. And I understand that he was the original in the comics and that they were building out his universe when her character came along. But when you do everything to make her another version of him, it's very hard to make her be her own character. Even the way that she was a reporter, which
mhm.
maybe that has comic origins. I don't know. I didn't read Supergirl, but my point remains: like it's hard to make her a standalone character when she shares so many similarities to the main one. I hated that about the show. Um, and then second season, I watched it up until the crossover. And the reason I did is because I thought that something in the show would have relevance to the crossover. And when it didn't, I said, fuck it, I just didn't come back.
Yeah. I pretty much watch up to the crossover as well. Um, and for me, as good as the crossover was, um, for me, it killed the televised, like all the individual shows, because you had this big, massive team up, and now all of a sudden they're breaking apart, and they, maybe have minimal contact with each other and whatnot. may guest appear here and there on the show, but it was like they couldn't get the solo episodes for the shows going again. And I think it, I mean, you lost after pretty much after the team up, you lost Ruby Rose as, Batwoman.
And
Um, and it was about the same time Arrow was coming to an end anyway, which pretty much kicked off the entire DC universe on TV.
yeah, and I've talked about this before with now as far as Ruby Rose as Batwoman. I'm gonna be honest. I've only seen a few things from Ruby Rose. She was uh, she wasn't silent or she wasn't deaf. She was mute in John Wick. I believe it was two. I'm not sure, but yeah, she was in John Wick. She was in Orange Is the New Black, and then she did Batwoman. Now, in Orange Is the New Black, 90% of her character direction was just be hot, which she did. She knocked that out of the park. Let's just say that. Um, but I wasn't crazy about her Batwoman, but she was a better Batwoman in the crossover than she was in her own show, which is what told me that Ruby Rose wasn't necessarily the problem, the writers were.
Yeah. Well, and
So
you forgot to mention she was in Pitch Perfect 3.
I haven't watched any of them.
What you should.
I mean, maybe one of these days, because like some of the actresses that are in it, Rebel Wilson, Anna Kendrick, is that it? Like
Yeah.
I don't mind the actresses. I just never got into the actual movies themselves.
Nope, you should, because in the third one, she's in a band called Evermoist.
That's hilarious. Oh, and actually, one thing I swear to God, I hate that. This is what I mean when I say that I hate people. So when they casted her for Batwoman, who canonically is a lesbian in the comics, that was always part of her character. They said that Ruby Rose, quote, wasn't gay enough because Ruby Rose, I believe, is bisexual in real life, but she married a fucking woman. So
Okay,
like,
so the one thing about Ruby Rose, not gay enough, she turns gay men straight. She turns straight woman gay. Um, there's and this is funny because I've had this conversation with other people. There's something about her, not just appearance wise, in the face, but her entire body, her mannerisms and stuff like that, to where she is found attractive by both genders and all sexualities.
yeah. So that was a crazy complaint I heard about it. Um, Honestly, my biggest complaint with with the Batwoman show was their handling of Alice because they couldn't decide if they wanted her to be their Joker or if they wanted to make her a redeemable character. And
Yeah.
the back and forth, in and out with her character really pissed me off with that show. Um, and then they had a chance to wash their hands of it when they brought in Javisha
I don't even remember her name.
Leslie, I believe was. I think it was Javisha something or Javincha or something. Anyway, they had a chance to just wash their hands of Alice and walk away because Kate Kane was no longer Batwoman, and then they kept her around and they kept doing the same. Is she our Joker or can we redeem her? And I'm like, please pick a fucking lane. She was a great villain. She was a great villain. She was also kind of interesting in a tragic backstory kind of way, and maybe she doesn't want to be a bad person. Like both of those had an interesting track to it, but they wouldn't commit to one, and that was pissing me off.
Yeah.
But
So Punisher
so
just
we also
dropped
just had.
very short.
I was just about to jump into that too. um, so you mentioned you haven't seen it. The
Nope.
episode only just dropped on the 12th, so we are within what I would what we can call the statute of limitations. So I'm not going to give spoilers. But
Nothing spoils me. It's like, oh, I could have wrote that.
my only complaint was it was so short. Um, it starts off, it feels a little bit like. Did you ever see that short that they did with Thomas Jane after the movie, Dirty Laundry?
Yeah.
It's okay. Actually, let me rewind a little bit because I said this several times on the show, and I was wrong about something. They did actually show Frank escape at the end of Daredevil. It was a post-credit scene. I didn't see that. So what happened is that he was actually in one of the cages. He starts trying to build a rapport with one of the guards, and then he tries to hold his hand out. Nice to meet you. And of course, the guard, being an idiot, shook his hand because this is Frank Castle. Why the fuck would you shake his hand when you are his literal prison guard? That's just asking for an accident to happen. So Punisher did what Punisher does. He broke the guy's arm and took the keys, and that's his escape. So they actually did address that at the end of Daredevil. I did not see that scene, so when I kept talking about they have to address it, I was wrong. So I have to acknowledge that.
I let it
So
go. I did see the
it
scene.
starts. Oh well, shit. um, but so this starts off. It's a little bit like Dirty Laundry with Thomas Jane. He's in a rough neighborhood. I This isn't really a spoiler, but one of the crime families that he killed during his show, the Nucci family, has left a
Yeah.
power vacuum. And in that power vacuum, shit has just gone off the rails. And he's in the neighborhood trying to mind his goddamn business. He's not trying to be the Punisher anymore, which is what we saw him doing in Daredevil. So, in Daredevil Born Again, I should say. And through things that I will not spoil, naturally he gets pulled back in. They do the typical crime family shit. Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. That's what happened to him.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think I'm back.
Punisher, yeah, yeah. And then Punisher did what Punisher does, and it got fucking awesome. But unfortunately, that was only for roughly about 15 to 20 minutes, and I would have loved for it to be longer. The entire thing is 45 minutes long, um, maybe a little bit longer. Now, we are still getting more Punisher because he is going to be in Spider Man. We've talked about this. Um, I will say this much: at the end, we finally get proper comic accurate Punisher because he's got the bulletproof vest on, he's shaved, he doesn't have the beard anymore, and he's got the skull. Now, unlike in the Netflix shows, you may or may not remember, on like the left hand side, he has the skull, but the paint is kind of worn off over here, so it's got like almost a half face kind of thing going on. No, this has the full skull on it. So we finally get him in full quote Punisher garb in the closing shot of the movie or mini movie. Um, we need a movie with John Bernthal. We really do.
Oh, I agree.
Because now there's a guy I watch on YouTube sometimes, Jeremy Johns, and he talked about the Punisher. And he's talked about all the different iterations. He talked about how Thomas Jane was quote sad Punisher, and then he talked about how Ray Stevenson was comic accurate Punisher, which I actually still haven't seen that. I may go ahead and check that out if I can find it. Um, and then Bernthal is traumatized Punisher. But I think if you're going to put him in a real world scenario, I think that's what Punisher is going to look like. He's going to have those quiet moments alone where he basically is like, he's being quote unquote haunted. We'll call it that. Like, I feel like that's how the Punisher is going to play out. It's not always going to be the hard ass that we envision the Punisher to be because no one is.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I do believe we need a standalone Barenthal Punisher movie. Speaking of movies, this Friday, The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Huh.
You can
I was
see
actually
my
just talking to my
enthusiasm
wife about
about
this.
this. With all the okay. So I've been seeing the trailers and everything like that, and it's like I feel like they're showing me all the good shit already. And I know Sigourney Weaver's in it and stuff like that. She's an X-wing pilot or whatnot, but I'm I'll see it, but I'm not expecting much.
Yeah, no, I can agree with you about that. And I was talking to my wife about this the other day because one of the apps that she uses, I don't know which one, but when you pause it, an ad comes up. And it's usually kind of an interactive one, like and they've been doing Mandalorian and Grogu. So the ad that they do is like it'll be Grogu force floating a popcorn kernel, not a kernel, but a piece of popcorn into his mouth. So it's an animated ad. That's what I wanted. And she came and she's like, "Oh, that's coming out." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not that thrilled about it." And my wife was surprised because she knows that I'm a Star Wars dude. And and I told her pretty much exactly what we talked about last week. Um, I first of all, Grogu being nonverbal, there's only so much character development they can give him. Which actually, you know what? I think we're going to get Grogu's first words in this. I do.
And it's gonna probably
Um,
be Daddy.
Probably. um,
With the way the
so
Star Wars script has been written through everything so far, it's gonna be something like Dad or Daddy or something like that.
yeah, you might be right about that, and it's probably going to be like a high intensity moment when either Mandalorian is dying or about to be killed or in like serious danger. It's probably going to be something like
Yeah.
that. Um, and they may even use it to make it more of a punch. As an example, like Logan. First of all, watching Wolverine die was already a gut punch. You didn't need anything else in that scene for it to be a huge emotional gut punch. But then Laura X-23 is crying over him and says, "Daddy," and like, God damn it, that made it hurt so much more. So I think they're going to play that same card with Grogu.
But yeah.
But I said the same thing to her that they're taking what used to be a TV show, they're stretching it into a movie, or I'm sorry, they're compressing it into a movie. I think it's going to have an abbreviated storyline. I don't like that. I think that there's going to be a lot of people confused because they did not watch the show and now they go to watch the movie and they don't have a fucking clue what's happening here. And that's going to piss me off. Um, I just don't have high hopes for this project. Again, I will watch it. I'm probably not going to go see it in the theaters, but I will eventually watch it. I'm just not thrilled about it. Um, all of this before we could get season 2 of Ahsoka.
Yep. And there may be a reason for that. I
Because
mean, maybe that'll tie in somehow.
maybe, you know what? Speaking of which, I don't know if we talked about this or not, but did you hear that Gen V is officially canceled? They're not doing another season.
Yeah, I knew that.
Well, we talked about this before, and what I knew before was that there was no news about a season 3. And I said that maybe that has to do with, we're waiting to see what happens with the boys because they were clearly going to show up in the boys, which they finally have. Wait, I think it was either this episode 9, or maybe episode 8, where they finally showed up. They should have been here a long fucking time ago. They really should have. Especially when you have a powerhouse like Marie. Why is she on the sidelines? Um, Now, are you caught up on the boys?
No, not yet. I still got 2 episodes to go.
Oh, so I know this Tuesday is going to be the finale, um, and this is the series finale. So everybody is on the table, so to speak. Um, I'm going to be honest. I am not 100% sure that Homelander is going to lose. I'm really not. Um, I mean, granted, they are setting him up to be this unbeatable villain, and when you do that, the payoff to beat him is so satisfying. But this is also a universe that's not afraid to give us a sad ending. So I'm not making a prediction, but I also would not be surprised if he actually does win at the end of all of this.
I mean, in mirror reality more.
You know what's funny? I saw a post they were talking about this, and they said something about, oh, the boys is just copying what happens in real life. Do you motherfuckers understand how long ago this was written and filmed? Like, they can't copy real life, but it does feel like real life took a look at the script. And I hate it. And I've seen people, and it's funny. We actually haven't even talked about a cunt of the week so far. I don't even know that we have any news to go off of for that.
Linda McMahon.
Oh, okay. What did I miss?
She was in front of the Senate, and they were asking her questions about the bill that's about to go before Congress for $1 billion to help build the big, beautiful ballroom. But they're cutting, school lunches and not hiring teachers and all that kinds of shit. And she's just basically, well, that's going to get paid by donations. And it's like, but there's a bill before Congress that's going to be $1 billion of taxpayers' money. And she was then asked the question, is like, well, what's more important, $1 billion ballroom, or 217,000 free student lunches, or 217 million or something like that, free student lunches, or more teachers and stuff like that to increase, like, decrease class size and better instruction. And I can't remember exactly what she said, but she basically dismissed it, like the ballroom is more important.
Although, I will say this much, and I've been saying this from ever since her name came up. First of all, okay, yes, cunt of the week. Fuck that bitch. But second of all, it makes sense because it makes sense he would hire Linda McMahon to be the one to essentially dismantle the um, Department of Education. Because, mind you, her company's retirement plan was basically CTE. So it makes sense that she would not want educated people. And I actually saw somebody make a comment about this one time, and this I think was absolutely true. Um, this is not saying anything to the fans of wrestling. This is not saying anything about the administrative and business people in wrestling. This is specifically focused on the talent, the wrestlers. Wrestling is for poor people, if you think about it. Almost nobody enters that business as a talent from a good background. Um, Brock Lesnar, for example, which first off, I still don't like him. Fuck him. He's a whiny little bitch. And I can say that he's a whiny little bitch because I read his book, and all it is 350 pages of bitching. But so as good of an athlete as he is still, even though he might be retired, he himself hasn't confirmed it, but that's beside the point. Division One college athlete. All 4 years of college, he went like 106-4 or some shit like that. Amazing athlete. But the reason he went to WWE instead of the Olympics is because the Olympics wasn't going to pay him money. Or at the very least, he wasn't going to immediately earn money. He went to the WWE because, and I quote, he was tired of being poor. Now, I say that not as a knock on him. I've been poor. It fucking sucks. Okay? I think anybody who has been poor will agree. It sucks. I say that to say that the people who go into the business are typically not from a well-off economic background. They go into it to improve their economic standings. So it actually makes sense to me that where somebody like Linda McMahon would want a dumb populace because that's going to feed into the machine that she used to employ. So, and I'm not saying she's doing it for those reasons, but I am saying that, I see why she would want stupid people. But so yeah, I'll agree that that's going to be our cunt of the week, and I'm going to have to add that to the soundboard here. Oh no, I know what I'm going to do. So you remember that soundbite I had some months ago, but I couldn't get it to come through on here. It just had to do just yelling, "Cunt!"
Yeah.
I'm going to put that on the soundboard. um, but yeah, I don't know that we really have much else to cover. So,
It's been a slow week.
it really has. I know that, again, me personally, I'm almost caught up on everything. I still need to watch Starfleet Academy. I still need to watch Lower Decks. I still need to go back and watch The Acolyte. But I'm not in a hurry to watch any of those because, like, I'll get it when I get it. Like, I wanted to finish Strange New Worlds because the new season comes out in 2 months. So that was kind of I was in a hurry for that one. I thought the puppet episode had already happened. I had to Google it. I'm like, what? I'm like, this didn't happen. And apparently, no, it's just the promo material for season 4, which is why it's being featured so heavily. So I'm like, oh, okay. And you know what? I said this before. My wife pointed this out because, again, she knows that I'm more of a Star Wars person, even though I do enjoy both. And I'm like, I mentioned this before. I still like Star Wars more, but if we're talking about the quality of content, Star Trek has been kicking their ass.
Mm-hmm. Since day one.
So, okay, my picture cut out there for a second. I will say though, the appearance for the Gorn has dramatically improved. Because when I looked it up, I don't think the Gorn has appeared in anything but the original series, right?
Unless you talk about the Star Trek Online game, Gordon appears, but other than that, no, nowhere else.
So yeah, when I went back and I looked it up, that probably doesn't need to be so close to me. When I went back and looked it up, like the people who were playing the Gorn in the original, like William Shatner, Star Trek, they look like they stole fucking Godzilla suits. It looks so bad. So,
if I remember correctly, that
the
suit was actually taken from a different sci-fi film.
It probably was. But I will say, looking at this show, and I will be honest, this show is absolutely nostalgia bait. It 100% is, because like you can see them building the original crew: Uhura, Spock, Scotty. You can see them building that crew, but also knowing where the series goes, where the technology goes, especially like with Next Generation. Watching La'an test drive the holodeck was fucking cool.
Yeah.
Which also, by the way, God, that woman is fucking gorgeous. Like, I realize that she's supposed to be really, like, she's intimidating and all that, but like, you know what? Like, yeah, she's got Dami Mommy energy. I'm just gonna put it that way. But
and on that note, that's all the time we have for this week.
Yeah. So yeah, as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Check out our other socials. Check out the Valmont Instagram because that just went live. They're actually going to be posting, cast, or posts for the cast. We've already got Jackie and Bossman Jonathan up there. Also, one thing that you guys can look for in the near future. So I don't think I've mentioned it on here. I am recording an audiobook right now. This is more of a political philosophy book, but I already have another project lined up after that. Basically, she's doing like a full cast audiobook, so I'm playing one of those characters. And these are professional gigs too. So I'm not going to make a lot of money, but I'll make money off of it. So that'll be nice. So um, but yeah, so other than that, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Check out our other socials, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Be you.